Okay, so in today's video, we are going to learn how to factor out a GCF. And you're probably thinking, what does this mean? And what it kind of means is, so you know how we have been working on, you'll get a problem that looks like that, then you distribute the 5, and you get your answer, which looks like that. What we're going to be doing now is sort of working backwards. We're going to get something that looks like this, and we're going to have to basically pull the 5 out and bring it to where it looks like this. And we'll build towards that, but it's important that you remember what a greatest common factor, a GCF, greatest common factor is. So let's take a look at this 10 and this 8. So before we can talk about greatest common factor, we need to talk about what is a factor. So if you remember, a factor is basically like what numbers multiply to be some other number. So factors of 10. Does 1 go evenly into 10? Yes. So you would write like this. I don't know if you guys remember this from like middle school. Does 2 go into 10? Yeah, 2 goes into 10 5 times. Does 3 go into 10? No, right? Not evenly anyway. Does 4 go into 10? No. Does 5 go into 10? Yeah, and since we already have it listed, we know that we've sort of completed the cycle. So I'm going over this kind of quickly because I'm hoping you remember a little bit from middle school, but if not, no worries, I'll get you there. All right. So factors of 10 are 1, 2, that's a comma, 1, 2, 5, and 10. Those are all the factors of 10. Let's list factors of 8. Well, 1 is basically a factor of everything. So 1 and 8 obviously goes into 8 one time. Is 2 a factor of 8? Yeah, because 2 times 4 is 8. Is 3 a factor of 8? No. And is 4? Yeah, we already have it listed, so we know we're right there. Cool. So now that you remember what factors are, common factors. Common means like stuff you have in common, right? So a common factor, common factors that I'm seeing here are 1, because it's a factor of both of them, and 2. So common factors are 1 and 2. But what is the greatest common factor? The biggest number that is a factor of both 10 and 8? 2. So the GCF of 10 and 8 is 2. All right, so that's your little review about what a common factor is. Now here, this is something you're probably not so used to, like common factors of variables, like letters. Are you serious? What are factors of x to the 5th? X is a factor of x to the 5th, right? So let's think. I'm going to drag you through all this and then give you a quick trick at the end. X is a factor, right? So actually, 1 is technically a factor because 1 times x to the 5th is x to the 5th. X times x to the 4th is a factor of x to the 5th. X to the 2nd times x to the 3rd is also a factor. So really, like any x to whatever up to 5 is a factor of x to the 5th. And basically the same way, x to the 3rd, x is a factor, x to the 1st is a factor of x to the 3rd, x to the 2nd is also a factor, x to the 3rd. Okay, so common factors would be 1, x to the 2nd, and x to the 3rd. So those are the common factors. And the biggest one, the greatest common factor, is x to the 3rd. So basically what I'm getting at is if you have variables that are raised to some kind of power, the GCF, the greatest common factor, is the lower of the two exponents. You can kind of just jump to that. So, you know, if I were asking you x to the 10th and x to the 13th, what's the greatest common factor? X to the 10th would be. So just go with the lower exponent. That's the quick trick, but this is why. All right, so that was the review, getting us ready.